Can you hear me? Hello, hello, can you hear me? The wonders of live, the wonders of live presentations. I'm coming from Sydney. This is John Dickinson here. I just said my whole introduction and my microphone was muted. You'd think after like 20, 25 years I'd be much better at this. I was perfectly ready, sitting here for 10 minutes, and of course I made a mistake right at the point when it mattered. So let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me now? Hello, hello. I'm back. Yes, good. All right. Fantastic. It's better to get all the little bugs out at the beginning, and then we'll be smooth sailing from now. Yes, excellent. Nice. Thanks, Frosty, the beer man. Great name there. And Michael. Yeah, so it's Tuesday morning here in Sydney, and I've been working on some looks using Sapphire. We've got a big new release coming up this week for 2023. Very excited. I can't talk about that. I've been told I have to steer clear of all of that stuff. I can't steal the rest of the team's thunder for that one. But I have been doing one of my favorite things, which is sitting in After Effects, basically with a pretty much blank canvas and coming up with looks using Sapphire. So I'm going to continue doing that for the next hour. I'm going to be doing it for the rest of the day, but I thought it's a great opportunity to do this in office hours, since this is my office hours, and just work through it and talk to you as I'm doing it, as I would if I wasn't doing this live. So if you have any questions, just shoot them out in the chat, and I'm just going to start work. Okay, I'll walk you through what I did yesterday, and we'll go up to the point where I am now, and then I'm not totally happy with the look, so I need to explore and see if I can develop it to finish with something that I'm completely happy with. Okay, excellent. So I'm just going to switch across to my screen. Excellent. So hopefully you can see me and see my screen. Now, this is the look that I have so far. Okay, so the idea with this is, obviously I want to use Sapphire to make something that looks as good as I can, that represents some of the things that Sapphire can do. But I also want to do it quickly. I don't want to spend forever tweaking, because I've definitely made liberal use of a lot of the presets that come with Sapphire, and I'm going to walk you through the ones that I chose for this particular look. So let's break it down, and then I'll just keep working and see whether I can get this to where I want it to be. Now, obviously, I'm doing this in After Effects, but you could do this in Photoshop as well, because there's Sapphire available for Photoshop. But my weapon of choice is After Effects, and 99% of the time I'm thinking about animation as well. Obviously, if someone had Sapphire in Photoshop and they were doing just initial design frames, then they could pass that across to me, then I could animate. But I like to start in After Effects. Excellent. All right. So like I said, shoot out any questions, any thoughts, and we'll just keep going. So let's dig in. I'm just going to hide my taskbar there. So these are the base images that I selected. Now these are from pexels.com. You can see there's the bubble there. This is free images. And there's some surprising amount of great imagery on here. So I just did a little bit of a search yesterday, and I generally just spend half an hour just exploring through shots and just seeing if there's anything that sort of catches my eye. And I discovered these two shots. So there's this side profile. I've got a mask on there. Let me just turn that off for a sec. So that's been masked. So there's a really beautifully lit side profile shot. Side profile. A profile is a side shot. And I thought that really stood out to me. And I really like how dark it is, and it's really beautifully lit. So I grabbed that. And I didn't think I was going to grab a bubble, but I just liked this bubble as well. I thought this bubble was interesting. So I basically just comped them both together, and it just made, let me just see, I don't think I actually put a mask around the bubble there, so I can't see the checkerboard, so I didn't actually mask the bubble out. But I did just connect them to a null so that I can, just use a null and reposition them, and also to scale them, because if I scale them both individually, selected, they're going to scale separately. So I just connected them to a null just so I can sort of scale it. Okay, so they're the base images, and I've just got those in a pre-comp. I can't even remember why I put them into another pre-comp yesterday. Let me just find that, reveal that in my project. Come back to the main. I'm going to try something. I'm always trying to get my After Effects projects as optimal as possible. When you're working, you're throwing things together, and often it's not always, not always built in the best possible way. So when I close a project, open up the next day, I go, oh, why did I do that? And I think of a better, faster, more efficient way to work. So I'm just going to very quickly just solo that. Isn't that interesting look, isn't it? I'm just going to just switch that out using Control-Alt \. And so that didn't change anything. So that means, so I know that the bubble comp and the pre-comp are identical. So I don't really need that extra comp. Now, one way that I could get rid of it is just to, I'm going to quickly save this just in case. I could switch out these different pre-comps, or I could just grab this bubble comp, hold down the Alt key or Option key, and just drag it over pre-comp 1. And that replaces that globally. So it shouldn't have changed what I've got. Yeah, there you go. You can see that all of them are now bubble. I'm just going to select all of those. Just close it up. See, now it's now bubble down there. So I didn't need that pre-comp. I don't know why I did that yesterday. But using that sort of global switch out by using Alt and dragging it onto the comp you want to replace is really fast. So pre-comp 1 now says not used. So I can actually just get rid of that. So that's just doing what I've always done in After Effects, is just working smart and just working as efficiently as possible. Okay. All right, so let's just go down to the bottom here and take a look. Now I've got a couple of Sapphire effect presets applied to this, and I don't generally stack S-Effect presets in After Effects, but I just happened to yesterday. Usually what I'll do is I'll build the entire look inside of Sapphire Builder. But yesterday I thought I'll just try a couple of Sapphire effects, or S-Effect effects. Okay, so I quite like this look. When I applied this preset to this bubble, I thought that's looking really interesting. I mean, it's pretty full on. There's a lot going on, and I have done some minor adjustments. Let's go in and have a look at the effect. I'm just going to click, first of all, load preset. I'm going to show you the preset that I used. Now, I created some presets specifically to enhance shots in the version before the previous version. So what version 2022, I think, and these are builder effects. I'm just going to just type in my name, which is so convenient being able to type in my own name. And you can too. If you save your own presets, just save them with your name and type that in, and you can find your presets. So the ones that I created were things like this, bokeh treatment. They were specifically designed to just make shots look better, just by just dragging and dropping. So there's that one. There's this one here. This was like using caustics to distort the shot. Let's see. Chrome Tentacles was the previous version. This one here, Comic Wash, which I like. Where else? What else? Flame Distortion. It's another sort of distorted one. This one, I like this one, Glass Squares. So these are all created in Sapphire Builder just by combining Sapphire effects. And if you've watched any of my training before, you'll know that I really, push Sapphire Builder because it's the smartest way to get the most out of Sapphire. Golden edges like that one. I created grunge treatment quite a long time ago, but I still like what it does to a shot. Gives it a really interesting look. So I love window shopping my presets like this, and other presets, of course, in here. So other great presets. Just to see what it might do to the shot just out of the box. I don't really want to put her on a moon. Let's see. This one here is quite interesting. Opaque glass panels. It's amazing what you can do in Builder by combining effects like this. This one here, quad tone sphere, and this one, quad tone strips. Now the one I did choose was this one here, shape sort. That one there. So you can see from the thumbnail, this was designed by me as kind of a graphic background, but it's interesting to apply these kind of effects to, to images. That one does an interesting effect as well, but this is the one that I chose. And it's going to click load. So that was, that's just the basic treatment of those settings. Those settings apply to that shot. So obviously you'd have to make some adjustments. There's a number of different things that can be done to modify that. I'm just going to go into the one that I created before. So I'm going to undo that. That's the one that I've modified. I'm just going to open that up by clicking on Edit Effect. Drink my coffee. Okay, so these particular presets were quite detailed. There's a lot going on in them. I'll just walk quickly through it to give you, if you haven't seen a lot of Sapphire Builder, to give you an idea about how the effects are stacked up to create the final look. So I'm going to click on Preview Selected Node, and we'll come right back up to the source. So there's my source. And we've got a Sapphire S shape effect. That was giving us that square before. You can see I've adjusted that because that's where I put the Sapphire logo. We've got a shape matte, which I'm just going to ignore for a moment. We've got Sapphire bokeh lights and Sapphire parallax strips on top of that, and Sapphire texture folded, and Sapphire warp repeat. You can see it's starting to look a bit odd there. Tile scramble, pixel sort, parallax strips again, and then taken it from texture folded down to Sapphire layer, and then I've mixed foreground and background together. So that's mixing everything up to this point with the warp repeat, tile scramble, pixel sort, and parallax strips to give us that. So see how easily you can combine Sapphire effects together? It's so easy to experiment using the builder. And I've said this before, I didn't go to the effect list here and go, now I'm going to get this effect, and now I'm going to get this effect. I just tried different effects and thought, oh, that looks good. Tweak that a bit. Add another effect. Not really working. That's the whole thing about Builder. It's really built for experimentation. So once these were combined together, going in and using some of the Sapphire color effects, things like quad tone, you can see what a difference quad tone makes to that. Really brings it together as a sort of cohesive look. Ultra glow, of course, just to add some beautiful soft glow, and color fused looks, just to give it that color grade. I didn't go in and fine tune color fused looks too much. I just went in and loaded a preset and chose the one that I liked. So that was sort of base look for this, and I thought it was starting to look quite interesting in here. My thoughts on this were, is it too much, and am I starting to hide the actual photo? Is there so much going on in there that, I can see it because I know that she's there. I know that there's a person in that bubble, but someone who sees it for the first time might be going, what am I looking at? You know what I mean? Yeah, thanks, Michael. I appreciate that. This makes it easy, though. It's pretty easy to be creative in this. Having presets in here is, that I've already created helps a lot. Because when I'm building my own presets, I'm building things which I think I might like to use. And this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm going in and using them. So let's have a look back in After Effects. And I mean, so I reckon that's already starting to look quite nice, isn't it? But there's all this sort of going on out here. This is what I was sort of struggling with yesterday afternoon. It was like 5 p.m. and I was thinking, this is looking nice in here, but there's just all of this is really like, there's not really much going on. There's no real meaning to that. I did enhance the bokeh lights. You can see that those circles are quite nice because we have this sort of hero bubble, and I thought it made sense to have a lot of smaller circles around. Feels like it's it's not just one circle by itself. It's part of a group of bubbles, or they're all supposed to be together. Like it's the main one, and these are all the little child ones. Okay, so that was applying the first preset. Then I used one of Brian's really nice pixel sort presets. And I could have gone into Sapphire Effect and added that preset into S Effect to build, a big Uber effect. But sometimes I just like to just be in After Effects and not go into the builder and to just dump stuff on top. Because after all, After Effects is compositing software, so it's built to, add things on top of each other and using blend modes. If you're using Avid or something like that, when it's not quite as flexible, then you can do it directly inside the builder. So this one is using one of Brian's pixel sort presets. And I'm just going to turn it on. And you can see how it kind of melted the shot. The preset I use for this one, let me just load preset, is, let's go pixel sort. And I'm supposed to be on effects actually, so I'll try that again. Pixel sort, there we go. So the one I used for this one was, I think it was Brian's True Sort, this one down here. That's really interesting. It looks like, stalactites, the ones that hang from the roof. So that gave that a really interesting look just by itself. I thought that was really nice. Okay, so that's the one I chose, and literally it's just applied directly to what we had before, just like that. So if anything, I mean, it looks interesting, but it's not really making it look more recognizable. It's making it look less recognizable, isn't it? All right, so let's see what I added next. So that's the base. Just tell them the next layer. Now, what is the next layer? I have no idea. Okay, so you can see this is really raw, this presentation, because this bottom layer is exactly the same as a layer above. So I've gone in and duplicated it and just left a duplicate in there, which isn't ideal because obviously that needs to render as well. So I'm just going to delete that. And losing my voice. Okay, so I remember what I did with this one. I was thinking I needed more enhanced bokeh lights. So what I did was I went into that S Effect preset. I clicked Edit Effect. And I basically just removed everything I didn't want. All I did was I kept bokeh lights, quad tone, and color fuse looks. So that's kind of a customized version of that stripped down version. And that's just been mixed with the layer below using, thanks Adobe Creative Cloud, using soft light. So it just enhances those a little bit more. Okay, what have we got above that? We've got S Effect again. And let's see. Okay, so I duplicated bubble with the same SEffect presets, but I just changed the direction of the pixel sort. So rather than going down, I've got it going from right to left. So I couldn't decide which one I liked most, so I mixed them. I mixed that with the pin light blend mode. So now you've got, let's look at the eye here, you've got one going down and one going across, mixed with the blend mode. And obviously you can get to a stage where you've gone too far. You know, you've got to put it in reverse and start deleting stuff. And I'm probably already there. We'll see what happens. Okay, above that we have, once again, the soft light blend mode with another bubble layer. And let's see what I've got here. Okay, interesting. So what I've done here, let's just click Edit Effect. I've obviously thought, you know, we can't see the talent, so I need to mix in more of the talent so we can see them more. So all I've done with this one is I've just applied pixel sort. So the same pixel sort effect, the original one, and mix that on top of everything else using the soft light blend mode. So see how that actually starts to bring her back a little bit. And the colors are looking really nice as well. I like that pink and orange. And one of the things I have to be careful of is when I'm designing graphics for Boris FX is, you know, as a designer, you can tend to have things you think look good. So your graphics can start to look the same. So I've got to be careful that I put that aside and develop looks that, you know, are obviously different. Because otherwise, all of the Boris FX stuff and all of my work can start to look the same. So what have we got on top of that? Once again, light and blend mode and bubbles again. Here we go. So this is where I'm starting to pull that detail back in. So this is literally just the I think it's the monochrome effect. I'm not sure. Let's just check. Hotspots. It's the hotspots effect. So Sapphire hotspots is it's like a version of the classic levels effect, and just really increases the contrast. I just like the result that hotspots gives me. But you can see I've actually added in an effect. So I had hotspots and I've added an effect in there, and that was the preset we saw earlier. It was that glass blocks preset. If I just go and come into, let's see, distort and change the blur lens amount, you can see how we get this sort of glass blocks look. So that's nice distortion, but I thought that distortion was too much. So I've actually dropped the blur lens right down. So we're getting a little bit of refraction through there. But it's just adding some nice geometric lines. There's a lot of, you know, curve with these circles. I just thought it's breaking them up a little bit. Makes it look a little interesting. So that sits on top of everything else using the light and blend mode. You can see they're not very obvious, those lines. They're just in there, but they're not super obvious. So we've got that to that. You can see it adds more of that detail back into the eye as well. Like that. Okay, so that's the base bubble composition. Any questions, those of you who are live? All right. So above that we have Ultra Glow, and that's applied to the logo. So I'm just going to ignore the logo for now. You can see I did change where that S shape effect was because I wanted something to be behind the logo. I'm still not convinced that the logo is right here. Something's wrong with it. I like the way this shot's developing. I do like the way this shot is looking, but I'm just not sure how the logo is working on the shot yet. Now at the very top I've used Ultra Zap. Actually that's the logo with Ultra Glow, and I've got Ultra Glow here as well as an adjustment layer. So I'm just going to name that. Need to name the adjustment layers. That's better. So a little bit of Ultra Glow. Nice. Now I think for Ultra Glow what I've done is I have, let's see if we can turn that off. Yeah, see how I've stretched it on the X? So we've got the glow horizontally. I'm just going to select that and press U twice on the keyboard just to see the change parameters. Yeah, see how width X is 10 or 11? I'm going to make that 12. There we go. So there's Ultra Glow, and Ultra Glow tends to be something I use so much in Sapphire too. It just adds that little bit on top. And Ultra Zap. Okay, so Ultra Zap, just adding in those lightning bolts. Let's take a look at that. So you can see how here in After Effects the Ultra Zap is using the mask, which is really nice. And obviously this is animated as well. That's working within the mask. I do love Ultra Zap. It's got some really beautiful electricity effects. What I've done to make it use the mask is just chosen Ultra Zap AE Path. And if you're not using After Effects, you can use Ultra Zap AE Mocha. So you do have access to paths. But in After Effects, we can use an After Effects mask. And here I've chosen Selected Path and Mask 1. I could have chosen all paths because there's only one mask. So that's using that mask. And not all frames are going to look very good. Some are going to look, see that doesn't look right. So I have to sort of, zero in on, because this is a still image, you have to zero in on a frame that works. So that's too much. I could come in and turn off the bolts. You can see we've got one bolt, and I don't think I'm using secondary bolts. Am I? I am using, yeah, I've got one secondary bolt. Yep. So secondary and primary bolts are almost identical, but what we can do, if the bolts are getting in the way, we can just show branches only. That turns the bolts off. So now we're only seeing the branches, which is quite nice. I mean, I don't mind that too. I just didn't want it to overwhelm. It's going to undo. I wanted just a touch of Ultra Zap, like that. You see, it's just enough to, just as you can see, it's there, just adding some interest, but it's not overwhelming the shot. Yeah, it does look like something from the 1970s, doesn't it? Like Omni or Heavy Metal. Remember Heavy Metal magazine? That's the kind of thing, right? How are we going for time? That's already half an hour. It flies by this session. Okay, so now you're up to speed with where I got to yesterday afternoon. And like I said, I'm not 100% happy with it. I think it's too busy. I don't know where I'll get to in the next half an hour, but let's just look over my shoulder and let's just see what I can create. See if I can make this look better. I mean, I'm going to have to at some point, but see what I can do. Just going to quickly save. Actually, I might just save a increment and save. There we go. So I can come back. I'm going to just turn off that. And I think what I'll do is I'll just go in and adjust this one here first. So let's go. Now remember, well, you will remember if you've used Builder before that inside of Builder I can decide which parameters I want to be visible in the host. So these are the parameters here that I've chosen for each of the effects. And I could probably make some adjustments directly in here based on those. Like shape, for example, I've got a center point. You can see I can move that shape like that. That's quite interesting, isn't it? It's just doesn't really move the needle that much. Let's just see everything while I'm changing that position. Obviously, there's another one underneath which has got to be moved as well. Okay. I'm going to leave that one there. And got my next one. I'm going to turn those off for a moment, those bokeh lights. Okay, so this one, I'll view it with that one. And that's quite a nice look. Let's see. I'll just move that shape as well. I'm just trying to, basically remove that big blob of bright orange. And just by moving the center point might be enough. Yeah, that's a bit better. I could also change the size of it down to 0, and that would remove it completely. That might be better, actually. And this one, what if I change the size down to 0? Just might clean it up a little bit. Just undo that again. How does that look? Yeah, I like that. But what about if it's turned off? I'm just going to take a photograph of that. And bring that down to 0. And now I'm going to do a comparison. I like it in areas, but I don't like it in other parts. I think I prefer that, so I'm going to leave that off. Now the question is, do I want to have that secondary pixel sort? I do like it. I wonder if there's too much on this one. Let's just turn that off. So that's how that looks without it, and this is how it looks with it. I do like that. Just go here and here, just so we see those two, and now turn that back on. All right, I'll turn that off for now. I'm just trying to strip it back a little bit so we can sort of see what it actually is. Okay. All right, so that one is the, just solo that. That one is the pixel sort as well. So let's see. Let's turn that one off. And that one back on. Yeah, that's not bad. Just let's see. I think I prefer that now. It's a little less crazy. I'll try a different blend mode. That's a little too much. Now I'm going to press Shift plus on the keyboard just to cycle through the different blend modes. This is what I do, just Shift plus and minus. I don't want to pull it so far out of the background that it looks like two separate images. And obviously some blend modes are going to be better than others. That's back to normal now. Multiply is no good. Yeah, so it is something around add too much, it blows it out. See, I had lighten, and screen's too much. So that's why I chose lighten. So I think I was right in that respect. I wonder, maybe I should move her back into the center of the frame. I'm just going to play around with the actual original shot. I'm going to view two viewers side by side, and you can do that by choosing View New Viewer. I like to use the keyboard shortcut Control-Alt-Shift-N. And so there's my composition. And in here I'm going to go into Bubble and just play around with this, and we'll see how that affects the shot. Okay, so I just move her. She's got a mask around her, so she'll have to be adjusted, but move that back. You see how that dramatically changes that shot? And that's no good. What about if I... Oops, I've got to make sure that they're linked together. Scale her up. Turn off the bubble. I quite like that as well. You know, I could do something with that. You know, maybe the bubble's unnecessary. You can see how the bubble adds so much more detail in there. Let's make this 100. Yeah, I'm not sure about the bubble. I mean, it's interesting, but it's completely overwhelming the shot. That looks more interesting to me. I think I can work with that. I've already saved the previous comp, so I can always go back. I do like this monotone mixed with this really rich, you know, hot orange. Okay, so I've got a mask on her. I've got to turn my mask visibility on. And I'm going to just double click that and just scale it up. That's to bring back the rest of that. That's good too, because it brings back that rim light on this hood that she has on. So I can probably actually delete that mask. Yeah. That's pretty nice. I do like it bigger. It is nice big. Is it big enough? Let's just try something a little bigger. And you really want to be working side by side like this. Otherwise you're, you know, constantly going backwards and forwards. She might be a little big. What do you reckon, 62? Yeah, that's really nice. Okay, I'm preferring that. I'm going to come back to here. Close that off. What do you think? Do you think it looks better without the bubble? I definitely do. And obviously, in this case, Ultra Zap might not be needed, but then again, it might. I'll just try something. what I'll do is I will just delete that mask. And I'm just going to press G to get my pen tool. I'm just going to quickly just draw a mask around her forehead. If I can get my Bezier curves working well. I remember doing a Adobe Illustrator course, like, I don't know, it must be 30 years ago now, and learning all about how to correctly position points when you're creating Bezier curves in Illustrator. There's definitely an art to it. You can hold the space bar down and I can actually drag that around without actually clicking, without actually letting go of my mouse. Just to reposition that point there. Put one down here. Doesn't have to be, perfect. But I might want to use this curve for something else as well, so I'll make it fairly tight using the space bar with the hand grabber tool there. Can we go one there? I think so. Just bring this one down like this. And come down to her lips. Yeah, I'll play around with the bokeh lights. Bokeh lights is one of my favorite effects. I get laughed at by Brian and Ben because I use bokeh lights in so much because Sapphire doesn't have a particle generator, so bokeh lights is my stand-in, for the particle generator. It's all those years of 3D that I've done and continue to do. Okay, so there's that mask. What I'll do is maybe I should just carry that all the way through there. Okay, and what I'll do is quickly save and come up and choose mask 1. Ooh, look at that. I don't know why it's doing that, so let's selected path, all paths, so that's all paths. It's starting to look more and more like one of those Omni magazine covers, isn't it? I really love how Sapphire has so many effects that allow me to be creative, to design creatively. I do like how that purple's working with that orange. And by the way, I'm probably not going to finish this shot right now, but you will see it, on hopefully on Boris FX marketing material. I'm just going to try and work out why that's not, or how that's actually working there. It's outside. I mean, I like the look, but it's outside the mask. Okay, so yeah, so it's basically going around the mask, right? One thing I can do is just literally drag the random seed value for bolt structure and see what other looks it gives me. It's obviously way too much. I'd have to knock this right back. I'm going to bring that back to its original value just by resetting. And what if I bring that? So that'll bring that right in there like that. Okay. So what I might do is get that right out of the viewable area. Like that. because the bolts themselves have a lot of wrinkle and curve applied to them. If I made wrinkle and curve amplitude 0, then the bolt would follow directly on the path, on the mask. It would hug that, perfectly. That's not bad. Oops. What did I do there? So I think it has potential, but I'm going to just turn that off for a moment. One thing I will do though, first of all, I'll just duplicate it. I want to try something. Branchiness. I'm going to choose branches only. And branch has an angle. I'm just going to reset the angle. See if this helps with anything. Just increase the branch width so I can see them a bit more. And just play around with the branch angle. Watch how the branches change direction. That's 180. It's not really showing anything that's obviously different. I'll just make that 0. Yeah, they're all, because of all the other settings, the wrinkle and the amplitude and a bunch of different settings, it's not that obvious. But basically makes the branches do this. Because I've duplicated that, I might just load a preset. These presets were really fun to create. I don't want one specifically that works with text necessarily. Let's see. I used Mad Scientist. We've got all these neon looks using Mocha as well. I might try Time Traveler. This is my ode to the Terminator. My homage. So there's that one. But this one needs to have UltraZap A path. And it's using mask 1. Yep. That's quite nice as well. It's not that much different from the previous one. Okay, so I'm going to just play around with that a little bit later. I do want to add UltraZap on top, but I don't want to get bogged down with that. Just want to see if I can enhance this a little more. Let's see. Turn those off. That's that one. I don't know if I want that one anymore. I'm going to delete that. And they're all okay. That's the extra bokeh lights that you were talking about. Not sure. I'll leave them there, but I just lock them for now. One of my pet hates with comps that I get from somebody else is you get a composition like this and layers are soloed, and the final render is based on the layers that have been soloed, and you open up the project and you unsolo the layers, and then you have no idea how to get back to the original. So when I'm setting up my projects, if I know I want to keep a layer and I know I don't want it turned on, I just turn it off and lock it. But for my finals, I always turn off the solo buttons and always have only visible what's going to be in the final render. It's just the years of freelancing where I would be so lost from other people's projects. Okay. So we've got the one with parallax strips. This is the one with hotspots. So what's the transparency of that? That's 100. What if I duplicate that? That didn't make much difference, did it? What if I try... Actually, that duplicated the effect. Did it? No, it duplicated the layer. I'm going to delete that and use screen. Okay, I don't know if I need the lines on that. We'll see. Nice, dust particles on a vacuum commercial. Perfect. Yeah, it works quite well as dust. It's got that built-in drift. I've created a couple of dust presets for that. Okay, we're running out of time for today, but let's see. I've got that preset with the glass blocks, so what if I do play around with the blur lens and see if that... So that's not adding anything to it at all. Nope. I'm not even sure if I even need that. Ah, there we go. I can adjust the threshold of hotspots. I'm wondering whether that whether the frames created by these glass blocks is actually helping or not. Maybe it is. I turn those strips off. Yeah, I'm going to leave that on, but I'm going to just play with the threshold. Okay, that's the saturation value. That's really blowing it out now. Brightness. Got to be careful. If I go too far, I'll start to clip. Definitely don't want to do that. It's definitely got a sort of sci-fi vibe to it now. I'm going to move my time indicator around a little bit and see whether other frames, because remember the original effect that's applied to the bubble, the original Sapphire effect, has got a lot of auto animating features in it, auto animating parameters, things like the parallax strips and the bokeh lights. So just moving my time indicator allows me to audition different frames. And obviously, if I want to animate this, I just got to set a couple of keyframes. Yeah, I'm going to try one more thing before we wrap up. It's going to once again give myself another viewer. Come back to bubble, and I wonder if I go. Actually, if I go, let's see, delete that one, duplicate her again, just reset her scale, and it's going to bring that back like that. Grab my mask, just create some sort of fracturing like that, see? So it's just sort of offset. I'm trying to add a bit more detail back in here, a bit more interest. And then I can grab the, I could grab the pan behind tool, which is this tool here, or the anchor point tool, and I could pan the image behind the mask. That's where it gets its name, right? So panning behind the mask. And play around with, that kind of thing. I kind of like how it was before, actually. That's That's quite nice. I like how it's getting that sort of fall off there. And what I do is just, you know, Control D to duplicate that mask, and then just, you know, move that one down. Move that like that. Yeah, it's looking a lot more interesting, isn't it? What a difference that makes. Thanks, Michael. As you can see how much fun it is. It's like, man, it's such fun to use Sapphire. And like I said at the beginning, this can all be done in Photoshop using Sapphire for Photoshop. And I could save this out and take it across to Photoshop as well. Save all of these looks as presets and open them up in Photoshop. So how are we going for time? We're almost out of time. Might just duplicate that again. I don't like how we're seeing that shadow there. So once again, hit enter just to accept that. Hit Y. Now, of course, there it's the same image. If I wanted to have a different, wanted to keep this one but have this one different, I'd have to duplicate the layer. For now, I won't do that. I'll just duplicate the mask and make that even narrower. Like that. And this is what I do. This is what I've been doing a lot of since I my role at Boris FX evolved into design director. So I'd probably, you know, put a couple out there and maybe down there, and maybe it might be good. What I'll do is I'll probably, thinking about this now, probably have ultra zap sort of coming in this direction. So I have a bit of ultra zap coming from there, and that could look really cool. You know, rather than having it around here just all willy-nilly, having it in this specific direction. So we've got these hard lines and we've got that really nice organic ultra zap. So I'm going to call it there. Keep an eye out for this image. You know, if there's any interest, I can always do a round 2 and we can walk through what I did to finalize this image. So that's it for office hours for today. I'm just going to keep working on this, but you know, enjoy the rest of your evening and the rest of your day, and I shall see you in the next office hours. Thanks for watching.